I've always been an alchemist, transmuting what remains after destruction, creating something new, hopefully infusing the innocence, love, and light that was lost, building with broken shards that make my hands bleed. Loss doesn't just come from death, but from what was supposed to be and never will. That feeling of grief swells, and then the almost unthinkable question hits. What next? Welcome to the Obliterated Place for all the brokenhearted, a space dedicated to creating something from the unrecognizable remnants of loss in its many forms. A place to witness one another's grief and choose to honor grief through our actions, big and small. I'm Kaye Steinsapir. Thanks for joining us today. Hello and welcome back to the Obliterated Place. I'm your host, Kaye Steinsapir, and I'm here with my wonderful, fabulous friend, Jennifer Snowden, aka Bossi, professionally known as this wonderful singer-songwriter, and for me, sister is here with me, and I'm so excited. I have been just in a high mood, high vibes coming because I just always love being with you.
I feel the same way. And it's always such a pleasure when we get to be together and chat. And you are such a huge reason as to why LA became my home so quickly, why things were so much easier for me to relocate here. And so I'm eternally grateful to you. And anytime Kaye says, "Can you do this?" the answer should always be yes.
Likewise.
Yeah.
And isn't it interesting that it was hideous breast cancer that we both had at a young age that brought us together, and all the fun we've had since then.
I know. Yeah. It's, I always, as I know you do too, but I talk to a lot of women who are going through the diagnosis phase and try to impart to them some optimism and wisdom that I learned through the process. And, one of the things there's two things I feel like I kind of consistently tell them. Cancer was the best and the worst thing that ever happened to me. And also, this is a club that nobody wants to ever have to belong to. But once you do, literally, women have your back. It is unbelievable. The people who showed up for me, the way you showed up for me before we had ever even met, it blew my mind. I had never really had anyone do that for me before. And it just, it reminded me of the kind of person that I want to be. And especially in those really vulnerable moments that people go through, it's critical. I mean, it really can change the path and the outcomes for people, and how they move through that time, whether it's with tremendous fear or trepidation of the unknown, or, obviously there will always be some level of that, but, entering into all of that with also feeling like you have support and people understand and you have a network of people to go to when you're not getting the kind of answers you need from, the people in your life or your care team. And so, I was so honored to have you, the bossiest, most badass woman I know, step in that gap for me. And so I really try to do that for other people.
And I'm doing it because someone did it for me. And that's what I think is so beautiful about this sisterhood that we're part of is people are doing it because someone did it for them. And it's this constant, I always imagine it as because I think our mutual friend Erin described it this way, as climbing a mountain. And I imagine us just kind of reaching back, being on a rope, and we're all climbing and, trying to summit, and we're all just reaching back for the women who are coming behind us.
Totally.
And that's just an incredible thing to be part of.
It is.
It made me think, because before we turned on the equipment here, we were talking about you obviously are a singer, songwriter, amazing musician. I am somebody who enjoys writing, and we were talking about how you're going to be part of this group collective that's going to come together, and creatives coming together are going to create a different energy. And I was saying I did something like that with Cheryl Strayed, who the name of this podcast came from her writings. She was so kind to let me use it. But I went to a silent writing retreat with Cheryl Strayed and some other women. And it's so interesting what happens when you just bring all of these collective energies together. And that's what I think about when you were describing about breast cancer too. It's like, it's the difference between what you would be able to do, like if I sat there alone and wrote something, versus if I sit, even if we don't do anything, even if it's just that we're together, like just being in the presence, in the company of all of these other people who are also, you know, kind of directing their energy in the same way.
Yeah.
It just creates something new.
Well, humans are social creatures, and we love to forget that because our society, the way it's currently set up in many ways, really promotes individualism, the individual genius. And that's just not how we're designed to operate. I think we do best when we're in community, when we're leaning on one another, when we feel that we're connected to a group of people, that we have support. That's when we do our best work. That's when we do our best healing. That is when we move through circumstances, whether they're good or bad, with the most resilience. And I will never forget, I think it was something that you said when we were at Molly's Shiva, and you said something, and it's a quote from someone else, but trees get a certain type of tree gets their strength not by necessarily going deeper, but by reaching out their roots and grabbing hold of the other roots in the forest. And I was so moved by that because, you know, as I was standing there in that moment, which was, you know, the worst moment for you and your family, and witnessing just the collective strength that gathered around you, it was so moving and so powerful and so, you know, incredibly heartbreaking, but also so incredibly heartwarming to see this community show up, not just for one day, but multiple days over time. And, you know, that is, you know, I both Nico and my husband, talked about that a lot. And, you know, it really reinforced how we want to live our life in community with others. Whether that's our work, you know, creatively, friendships, and just finding more ways to, you know, to really be together.
I agree. It's so funny, you know, people mention Shiva a lot because, you know, it's 7 nights, or is it 8 nights? I'm such a convert. I don't even know. And I was in such a out of body state at the time. I don't know. Could have been 80. I don't know. It's 7 or 8 nights. 7 nights, whatever it is. Like having, you know, people in the house all those nights. And I guess I said things at these Shivas and I have no recollection at all. I don't know where I had quotes from. I don't know what I was saying. And it's like weird, you know, like it's such a strange thing. Like I look back and I'm like, gosh, I felt like I was out, like what people describe as like a near-death experience or something. Like I felt like I was just outside myself, just seeing all of the people around, but it wasn't me.
Which is probably normal, I think. Yeah. You know, we go through these moments, and I mean, I certainly look back at nothing, obviously, to that extent, but, you know, going through cancer, you certainly have those moments. And, you know, there are the periods of time where other people will be like, remember that when we were doing this and you said this and da da da. And I'm like, I have so little recollection of that moment because I was just, you know, you're moving through this time in a bit of a blur and just hanging on for dear life. Yeah. And your brain is also, I mean, it's a trauma response, but your brain is also kind of reaching for semblance of normalcy or what feels familiar in this deeply unsettling and unfamiliar time. Yeah. And so, yeah, I think, you know, it's probably very normal that you don't remember these moments with clarity because it feels like you're moving through a fog. Yeah. This new reality.
Isn't it weird? Like looking back at like photos and stuff when we were going through treatment, like I remember that photo of you and you're like in the bed and you're just drinking out of a straw and your mom is holding it to you. And like,
that was so like right weird. After I woke up from surgery.
It's just like, it's so strange to look back and be like, what was that? How,
Yeah.
is that a different lifetime ago? Like, I mean, of course I feel that so much with Molly and everything, but with cancer, it's like, wow.
Yeah, it is a really interesting time. It's funny because I actually remember with a weird amount of clarity waking up from my mastectomy. I had a double mastectomy, waking up from that surgery to my surgeon stroking my head like a mother would, right? My mother was standing by my side, and the surgeon, it was this kind of moment of extreme care. And she was stroking my head and just saying, like, you did great. Everything's going to be okay.
Aww.
It was so reassuring. And it's weird because you're kind of coming out of this stupor. And, kind of coming back to. And it's one of the moments that I actually really kind of remember. And I was singing a song as well. So I woke up from surgery singing.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. This is new to me.
Yeah,
you did? That's so interesting.
I was singing Land of Hope and Dreams by Springsteen, which,
really?
was such
a...
Yeah, that song brought me so much like hope and comfort during that time. And she said, gosh, I've never had anyone wake up from surgery singing, and I was like, well, I guess I guess that means I'm probably doing what I'm doing what I ought to be doing. If that's like so deep in my soul that coming out of this, deeply drug induced like surgery, I'm, my soul is singing. And
it's amazing. It's so beautiful. I never knew that. I'm learning something.
Well, that's why I always tell people when I say that cancer was the worst and the best thing that ever happened to me. It was the worst for obvious reasons, but it was the best because, this is something well too. When you face mortality in any capacity, it just instantly crystallizes what is important to you in life, and all of the other crap that we spend so much time worrying about, ruminating over, instantly. You see how minuscule it all is. Yeah. And, in the face of the greatest possible fear, all other fears suddenly become so much smaller. And so for me, the fear of failure, or the fear of fear of, what if I can't do this? Or, what if I'm not good enough? Or all the dumb crap that I spend so much time worrying about. What if I can't make money doing it? All of that suddenly became less important than the idea of me dying and not having done the thing that made me feel most alive.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so then once I realized that, it was like, all right, I either can go through my life ignoring this and burying it, or embracing it and finally living my life with the amount of courage that I know is in there, and I just haven't tapped into it yet.
Yeah. If only more people could access it without having to face their mortality, right? Eckhart Tolle talks about this. What it is that enables people to experience the present moment, to live in the now. And a lot of times it's a very serious trauma. In his case, he was so depressed, he was suicidal. It was like, confronting his own mortality because of this. And that was what allowed the awakening. And it seems to be true for most people. It's hard to get there if you don't have some catalyst.
Yeah. And it's so deeply infuriating and frustrating because you're like, why can't we, get to that place without all of this pain, but it does seem that, these moments of great hardship are what bring that level of clarity, tenacity, resilience that is required in order to do the things that we need to do on this earth, those really big, scary things that, maybe we just needed to tap into that extra bit of courage in order to be able to do.
Sometimes I feel like it's kind of like being like cracked wide open.
Yeah.
And that's what kind of puts us into like this obliterated place, this place where everything is different, unrecognizable, and it's not what it's supposed to be. It's not what we wanted. It's not what we want.
Yeah.
But yet we're here, and now we have to create something new in this space. And somehow, whether we want it or not, like it's like we have different tools and like different ingredients that are now within our reach that weren't there before.
Yeah.
And it's kind of what creates the magic in some ways, you know?
Absolutely. It's, it does force you to tap into a part of yourself. Like I actually learned how strong I was during that period, you know, especially emotionally, but even physically too. I really learned like, wow, you know, I have so much more capacity here than what I ever gave myself credit for. And, you know, I have so many, I can't say I don't have that many regrets in life, but it's so many things I haven't done well, right? And that I would love a chance to redo. But one of the things I'm really proud of is the way that I moved through that time. And a part of it was because I did have so much love and strength around me that, and support, that it allowed me to be able to do it, right, with some amount of grace. But, you know, I saw the depth of my spirit in that moment. And it probably to this day remains like the thing that I am most proud of, just because, you know, I really dug in and I trained both physically and emotionally to be able to do that and to be able to still give love and receive love and allow myself to heal and to, you know, to learn what I needed to learn and to rise to the occasion with bravery, and to do my best to let it shape me, but not destroy me.
Yeah.
And like I said, I had so much to be fortunate or to be grateful for. I was very fortunate in many, many ways, but, you know, but it was still really difficult.
Of course.
Yeah.
And I watched you go through it with grace, and I saw that. I mean, I didn't know you before that, but I met you when you were really like in the thick of it. Like, and I watched you go through all of it with tremendous grace and strength. And we'll have to talk about Nico and your relationship. That's so beautiful as well. But before we do, I think you should just tell the story of like when you were diagnosed and all that.
Yeah. So I was diagnosed at, I think I had just turned 33. Maybe I was 32. I was 32 or 33. But then, you know, I never remember dates very well. So other people have this incredible capacity to remember the year, the dates. Like, you know, it's kind of always a blur for me. But I was 32 or 33. It was just before Christmas, and I was laying on the couch. I was living in New York at the time. And, you know, my husband, Nico, kind of grazed my side and then kind of went back up. And, you know, I had this thought of like, okay, we're watching a movie, keep it together, mister. You know, that's not the time. But then, you know, he kind of like kept like feeling my side. And then he was like, you have a lump here. And I was kind of shocked by that. And so I immediately went into the bathroom and kind of felt it. And I looked, and I could actually see it because it was quite close to the skin. And I have no history of breast cancer in my family, very little history of cancer in general. But I knew enough to know, you know, you have a lump, you don't mess around. I went immediately to the doctor the next day. She sent me immediately for an ultrasound. I had an ultrasound, and the radiologist called me I had a mammogram, and the radiologist called me into the room and had this look of real concern on her face. And she said, you have a lump on the right, calcifications all around it, and there's also a lump on the left. You need to see a surgeon immediately. And, you know, that, of course, sent the fear of God into me, because I was shocked. It was really not what I was expecting to hear, because, you know, nobody that I know had ever been through this. I saw a surgeon. They did a biopsy. I went to Italy with Nico. He's Italian. His whole family is in Italy. So we went to Italy for Christmas, and I got the news while I was in Italy. And my surgeon said, the biopsy came back. Good news. The left is benign. The right looks like it's stage 0. So we can deal with everything when you get back. But, you know, let's schedule an appointment. So immediately when you return. So long story short, they had thought it was stage 0, but because of, a number of factors, my doctor recommended doing a double mastectomy as the best course of option, or the best course for treatment, and mainly aesthetically, but also for a few other reasons. And so I chose to do that. Turned out to be stage 1. There was only 1 millimeter of invasive ductal carcinoma. So very, very early stage 1, no lymph node involvement. And so that was the extent of my treatment. And then about a year and a half, almost 2 years later, I noticed I had had a cyst develop on the left side, and I noticed a small lump in the scar on the right side where I'd had the mastectomy incisions. And I went to see my plastic surgeon to get the little cyst removed. And while I was there, I said, you know what, take off this other thing too. And he's like, I think it's just scar tissue. I would just leave it alone. And I was like, I'm sitting in your chair, just take it off. And thank God I did that, because I went back in to see my plastic surgeon, and bless his heart, I don't think the plastic surgeon is used to having to deliver this news.
Right.
And he did a great job, but he had to break to me that I'm so sorry, the cancer is back. And so, of course, I had to do then the full gamut of treatment from chemotherapy. They thought the second time, they thought it was also HER2 positive, which, it wasn't. That was a whole nother side tangent. But so I ended up having chemotherapy infusions for HER2 for almost a year, but about 8 months. Radiation, another surgery to remove additional tissue, and then 5 years of hormone treatment to turn off my ovaries and just stop my body from producing estrogen completely. And I completed that 2 years ago, and now I've been cancer-free for, the past, I guess they say 7 years since.
Yeah. Congratulations to you.
Yeah.
I got 10 years of the lovely hormone blocking medication, so I have 1 more to go.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yep.
Home stretch,
yeah, because I had advanced, locally advanced, a lot of lymph node involvement. Mine was not caught early, so go me. I'm here 9 years later, and I'll be done, hopefully, with everything in a year.
That's such a huge, it feels so good when you're finally done, but it is also really, there's a level of fear also when you stop treatment.
I'm already scared. I have anticipatory fear.
Yes, because it's suddenly I had spent all of this time actively doing something to prevent this from coming back. And then all of a sudden you're just sort of done, and you're, I guess, back to normal, but not really back to normal. And it's just always in the back of your mind. I've had cancer scares over the past couple of years. Had to get scans every 6 months, and turned out to be nothing. But, the past 2 years, I've had these, this just weight on my shoulders every 6 months, having to go in for a scan. And it, luckily turned out to be nothing. But yeah, it's always kind of in the back of your mind, even when you feel like, okay, I've done everything I can do. I have, hopefully beaten this thing. But yeah, it's a lot. And just to kind of briefly tell the story about how you and I met, we were introduced by a colleague of my father's. Well, kind of a colleague, but their law firm, Bryan Cave, was the law firm for my dad's company. And so in the midst of my treatment, Nico and I were moving to Los Angeles. And so that meant I had to get health insurance in LA. I had to get transfer all my care, find new doctors at UCLA. I mean, it was insanely overwhelming. And I was doing chemo in New York and having to transfer everything else, radiation and beyond, to LA. And I was introduced to this other woman who lived in Orange County, who was like, I don't think I can help you, but I know this woman in LA who's also just been through cancer. You should talk to her. And she introduced me to you. And when I say Kaye just opened up, like rolled the red carpet of doctors at my feet. It was incredible. I mean, all of my doctors were your doctors. Yeah. I mean, you got me in with my oncologist, like with everybody, you know, my gynecologist.
She's great. Yeah.
Radiation oncologist.
Another great one.
I mean, it was like, and then of course, you know, counseling me along the way. And then the day that we moved, I was also, you know, floored because you had obviously had the date in your calendar when we were moving to LA. And I got this text message from you that was like, hey, I know you just moved to LA. When, you know, maybe next week, once you're a little bit more settled, my husband, John, and I can take you and Nico out for dinner. And you did. You took us out for dinner. And I was like, this person is literally an angel sent from heaven. Like, who does this? This is amazing.
Somebody who knows that it's like medicine to help when you take whatever thing happened to you and you use it in some positive way. It's medicine. Like,
it was.
And I had a bad case, so I needed all the all the medicine I could get.
Yeah. And it was so helpful because, I mean, you know, it's already a lot doing all of that stuff, but then having to figure out which doctors you need to see, which ones are good, it would have been too much. And so I will always be grateful to you for that because it really just kind of saved the day.
Well, I'm excited that after we tape this, we're going to have dinner at the same place where we first met.
Yes, I know.
And I remember you walked in and I was like, who is this? Like, you were going through chemo and you still looked amazing. Like, I hope our audience goes onto YouTube and watches us so they can see how gorgeous Jen Bossi is.
Oh, please.
No, but I mean, I was like, this woman is like so statuesque, and you were from New York and you had the really cool earrings, I remember, and like
I
really
love
cool
a good earring. Yeah.
like blazer and everything, jacket on. I was like, wow, like this I was just like sort of in awe of you. And then of course Nico just charms us all. Like we all just love Nico.
He is the best.
Tell your story about you and Nico, because it's such a lovely, beautiful story.
Well, that story could take the rest of your podcast.
It could.
But essentially, he and I met when we were otherwise engaged in very serious relationships. But over the course of almost a year, we were in New York. I was working for a hotel. His office was 2 doors down. He kept coming in. We had only ever seen each other in this hotel, but we became pen pals, right? Started as just business correspondence as I would help him organize events because I was managing the restaurant and the lounge, and eventually kind of turned into just getting to know each other online and telling stories about our childhood. And, you know, there was such a connection there. I could tell what a genuine, thoughtful, and emotionally intelligent person he was. And generous, like just generous of spirit in every way. And so eventually, you know, he made a few grand gestures, made his intentions known. I called off a wedding and we started dating. And a year later, we were engaged. A year later, we were married. And now it's been 12 years married, almost 13. And it's just, it is honestly the most beautiful love story every day. I mean, I'm so in love with that man, and I feel he is so in love with me. Yeah. And it makes the difficult times in life more bearable because you have a partner in every sense of the word. You know, I mean, it is, I feel that we face everything as a team. And that is really, really beautiful.
It's amazing. It's beautiful to observe. I will never forget this. You know what I'm going to say, right?
I don't know.
Okay, so our other mutual friend, Erin Cummings, we were together, all of us at my house. So it's me and my husband, John, my kids, and you and Nico, and Erin and her husband, Tom. And Erin and Tom are both actors. You know, Erin's got a hilarious big personality.
So hilarious.
We also met her through cancer, another one of our sisters.
Yeah.
And I remember you were telling the story, and, you know, I can see Erin is just, you know, Like, she's just like, oh my gosh, and you had this amazing Italian wedding and all these things. And then she saw Nico's tattoo.
Yes.
He has this big, beautiful tattoo of like a lion.
Two lions, a male and a female lion with their heads together. And it's a very expressive tattoo that, you can tell it's like they've just been through the fight or a hunt or something, right? Yeah. And so I have to give context to this before you finish your story, because the last day of my chemo, I'm a Leo, so my birthday's in July. And so my mom and Nico had sent these little press-on tattoos to a bunch of my friends and family. And so on my last day of chemo, everybody posted a photo of them with this lion tattoo and a message of encouragement or hope. And then Nico had posted on Facebook this picture of him and this beautiful, like, soliloquy.
Yeah.
But I was like, if that is a press-on tattoo, that is one hell of a tattoo. And so, as you know, when you come out of chemo, you're like drugged. I slept the whole night. I mean, you're just kind of in this total stupor. And so I often would sleep on the couch because, you just sweat it out and it's horrible.
It's horrible.
And so I woke up the next morning, and when he came into the living room, I was like, let me see your arm, and he showed me your arm. And I was just so, floored. It's his only tattoo. And I never thought of him as someone who would get a tattoo. So that's the backstory of the tattoo.
Yeah, it's amazing. But like, as I see Erin, she's taking this in and she's looking at Tom, her husband, and going, Tom, why don't you have a lion tattoo?
Why didn't you ever get a tattoo for me?
Yeah, like, do you see that Nico has gotten this tattoo?
Poor Tom and John in that moment were like,
it was
come on,
hilarious.
Man. Yeah, Nico was like, oh man, this guy's going to hate me,
No one can measure up to Nico. John knows not to even try. He makes all this beautiful,
John is amazing.
Food. He comes and does all this beautiful, homemade pasta. I mean, you guys have done so many beautiful meals at our house. I mean, it's so nice. And then you have all these wonderful things at your house where this man is like, he's like no other. I mean, he's in there. He makes food, all this delicious, amazing food for a huge group. And he's just like, no problem. So effortless. He looks perfectly fine.
I know.
And he's just like gazing at you with adoration, even as he's in there making all these things. It's something.
He is definitely something, that's for sure. I think it's part, it's like in his DNA as an Italian, to just have this appreciation for food and for cooking. And when we do those, those events, like, it is very much a team effort. I am helping him in the kitchen, but I'm very much the sous chef. I am like, you tell me what to do, baby.
Yes.
I will execute. And then, but he's definitely doing so much of it. But yeah, it's, he loves to feed people and to serve people and to, care for people in that way. And it's a beautiful thing to behold, and it is a beautiful thing to be on the other end. To be on the other end of. So I'm very lucky for that. Yeah.
And he's been also so, willing and happy to jump into anything you need creatively. Like, I've seen him filming sometimes, and he's just like,
people don't know this, but many of my music videos, with the exception of Run Baby Run, which was it was a professional team of people. But, a handful of my music videos were shot by Nico. Mm-hmm. And, so the interesting thing about Nico is he is actually a creative person, and he doesn't always have that opportunity to express that in his work life or, so my endeavors, my career, right, for him, I think is really fun because it gives him that opportunity to really roll up his sleeves and do some of the creative stuff, because I'm like, okay, I've got this idea and I need someone to shoot it.
I'm going to get in the bathtub now.
Exactly. Fully clothed, with the water. And this is what we're going to do. Yeah.
I love it. It's awesome.
But he's always game. In fact, I'm usually the one, which is amazing. I'm usually the one that's he's really the visionary oftentimes, or the one that's like willing to like take the risk, do the thing, right? And I sometimes feel like, you know, I'm very practical in my approach to things, and obviously I'm a visionary too, and you know, immensely creative, but he oftentimes is really pushing me behind the scenes to like,
That's awesome.
you know, just get out of my shell even more, to get more creative, to do something more outlandish. And so, yeah, I definitely owe a lot to Nico, because he is the unsung hero behind everything that I do.
I'm singing your praises, Nico. Today you are
he's
sung.
Gonna hate this. Like,
today you are sung.
Like,
I know. He's so modest. But no, and it's been so cool. Like, obviously, like I met you when you were coming here and like in the middle of chemo. And like I've watched this whole evolution of everything. Like,
yeah, you really have.
I have.
Like
right?
coming back to music. Like my first little, I think you heard the first mix of anything I did. Which was terrible.
It wasn't terrible. You know? It's not terrible.
Yeah. But you guys really did see the full evolution of me like planting roots in LA, starting up this train again of saying, okay, I'm coming back to my creative career that I had left behind years ago in New York. And I'm doing the thing again, and I'm going to, you know, we're going to make a life here. We're going to build a community here. You know, we're just going to go for it here in California. Yeah.
It's like you were like in your obliterated place, and look at all the things that you've grown here in this place, you know?
Well, I definitely had really amazing female role models where I just felt like, and actually, so, you know, funny story was when I was coming back to music and deciding, okay, how was I going to do this? And I was feeling, you know, Trump was first Trump presidency.
We agree on this, that we hate this person.
Yes, I was feeling very frustrated and discouraged with everything I was seeing in the world. And I just, you know, I was just incensed, you know, and I felt like, God, if I am going to do this again, I'm just, as a woman too, like I'm just tired of asking for permission. I'm tired of feeling like I can't take up space. I want to be bossier. And then I was like, you know, Bossi is our last name.
I know.
So I married into this incredible last name. And then I was just like, oh my God, that's it, right? I'm have to become Bossi.
Yep.
And then for like the longest time, I just was always so inspired by you, because you were truly, and I mean this in the most complimentary form possible, but I was like, Kaye Steinsapir is the bossiest woman that I know. And I really mean that as a compliment, like not bossy in the traditional sense that we think about it, but just like take no shit, say what it is you need, be willing to stand up for yourself and for other people. And I was like, I mean, this is like what I need to emulate more of in my life. And so you were like a huge inspiration for me, and just the way that you move through the world and the way that you are just like, you know, this amazing force of nature. It's, you know, it's amazing. It's incredible.
It's kind of wild because now, like, because I was like that. That was like kind of my nature. I was just like, I had to be a really strong person growing up, and I had all these, you know, crazy experiences. But like now, like you, I'm in a place where it's like, I do not give a fuck about anything.
Yeah.
I'm going to do exactly what I want. I don't care who, like I told you before we sat down, I don't even know if anyone watches this or listens to it. Hardly. I mean, only that they tell me. But like, you know, people, I don't know, look at data or something about these podcasts. I have no idea. I don't care.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I just am fine with like just doing what I want. And I don't care if I fail. I don't care if I start over and need to do it differently or try something else. I care much more that like I don't try the things that I want to do. And like we're really grappling with this in my household right now. Because I have, unfortunately, John does not appreciate this so much because he's worried about the turn our life is going to take if I pursue my feeling inside that I really at some point in time, I'm going to need to run for office.
Yes. Heck yes. You got my vote.
Yes. And, he's just like, and rightfully so, right?
Yeah.
Because it's so ugly. It's so ugly. Like my friend Tracy Park, who's our councilwoman, and is amazing. And just, she's a bossy woman. She's amazing. She's so good. She's always showing up, working so hard for her community. Like, I see the things people write and put out, and I'm like, oh my God,
I know.
it just really, keeps people from wanting to throw their hat into the ring,
Totally.
So I'm like, okay, I am waiting. Like, I'm going to wait until my younger son just turned 10. So it's like, I'll wait for a while longer.
Yeah.
So I don't subject them to unnecessary attention. Because for myself, I don't care if people say bad things about me that much. It's like, I'm kind of over it. So
do you feel, is there a liberation in that for you? I mean, it feels in a way that like, it's so, we spend so much of our time, I think, often as women, like really feeling like we have to be this version of a woman that society finds palatable and acceptable, and when you can get to that place where you are like, can I swear on this?
Of course.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Like when you get to that place where you are like, fuck that. You know what I mean? I do not have to perform for anyone except myself.
Yeah.
Right. And I am going to do what it is I believe is right, say what it is I believe needs to be said. And, I don't have to do it in this like little kind of demure package that everybody is expecting from me as a woman,
Well, look, I mean, it obviously this resonates, right? Because I also was with you when you started making your Bossi finishing school videos from the very beginning.
Yeah.
And they have totally like resonated with a large audience, and for good reason, because, and it's true. It's like, you're just presenting completely yourself, what you want to say, unvarnished, not trying to be packaged, demure, whatever. And it's what people want.
I think you're right. I think people, especially women, we're living in this time period where misogyny is just running rampant again. It's always been there, but now it's so like bad. People have handed it a platform and a microphone and said, oh, we can't wait to applaud for this crap.
I know.
And so it's infuriating. Women are watching this just going, what is going on? And I think a lot of men too.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's disgusting. It's vile. And so we need more women like yourself who are willing to stand up and say, I'm going to run for office, and I believe I have something to offer society. And, you are a civil servant. And that is what I believe we need to get back to in our government. It's like the idea that this is a path to power and wealth, right. These career politicians. And I'm all for people serving long, spending a lot of time, like, from Congress to the Senate to, working their way up. And, they're not to say it's not a career, but the idea that it's a pathway to wealth and power, I think, is not serving us as a country. And we need more people who are out there willing to say, I want to serve my community. And that to me is like what I have seen you do since the day that I have known you. And those are the kind of people I want to see in office.
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, I'm like, my life will be fine. I'll be like, I have a million things going on. Like, I don't need it. I have no ego involved at all, other than like a deep, like bone deep feeling of like, I was meant to be a public servant. Mm-hmm. It's why I went to law school in the first place. And just circumstances were such that I couldn't really pursue that path for some time. And then my life took all of these crazy twists and turns. But Justice Sotomayor met Molly when she was speaking at our local public high school. And I took the kids over there to hear her and see her. And I mean, it went on for hours because it was packed. And she spent so much time with each person that came up to get their book signed. So this went on for so long. It was well past like getting on close to 11 p.m. And I'm like, guys, we have school tomorrow. Like I was looking at Justice Sotomayor like, this woman's on East Coast time and she's up there and she's just taking so much time. True public servant to the core. And Molly was like, absolutely not. I'm getting my turn. Yeah. And when she got up there, you know, she was very bossy, as you know. And so there was a point where the justice had said to everyone, hey, kids have school. No more adults come through until all the kids can get their books signed. But of course, people don't follow the rules.
Yeah.
Molly got up there. It was finally her turn. And we're supposed to veer to the left to go up to the justice. She is like veering to the right. And she's like, excuse me. Like, who's in charge here? Because she said that it was for kids only, that we have school tomorrow. And these people didn't listen. Like, I mean, she had to, like, go and chastise these people that were in charge. Then she went over, you know, and had all of her time with the justice. And she brought all these additional things to have signed. She brought her, you know, Molly was a performer. And she brought a CD from her, like, 5th grade play that she was, you know, starring in and all that, and gave that to her. And we got a handwritten thank you note afterwards. And when Molly passed, one of the first letters we received was from Sonia Sotomayor. And in that letter, and I mean, how can she even remember Molly in an auditorium filled with people?
She was very memorable.
She was. She was. But I mean, she was. And she was very earnest and she was very serious about what she was telling her. And she gave her that CD. But in her letter, she wrote about Molly that she had the heart of a public servant. And so I told John, I'm like, she did. She got it from her mom.
Yeah,
like,
she did.
So I'm like, I can't go to my grave without, like, at least just, I'm willing to raise my hand and say, I'm willing. Like, pick me if you want. If you don't, no worries.
Totally.
And I said, maybe they won't even pick me because I won't be like glad handing and like if I don't like someone, I don't pretend that I do. Like I'm not going to, you know, I'm just not phony like that. And so I'm not going to be willing to kind of go around and, you know how they are. They're fake. So many of them are fake. But then I said to him, but you know what? Like people don't want that either. That's not what people want.
Totally.
People want real, like authentic, no bullshit. And even if they don't agree with you, they know that like you believe in something truly and like
and you're giving it to them straight.
And you're giving it to them straight. And I think people respect that more than just somebody who says whatever to depending on who they're talking to.
Exactly. It's I absolutely agree. I think people are looking for, you know, a sense that someone is genuine. And, you know, though I have nothing good to say about our current administration, one of the things that he really tapped into was people's hunger to hear a politician talking to them in a way that did not feel like it had been rehearsed 10,000 times. And now he has gone so far in the other direction that I am like, I don't understand how this can even be tolerable. However, you know, yes, people are hungry to feel like someone is listening, someone cares, someone is genuinely expressing themselves, you know, to you and is standing up for what they believe in. And
speaking in a way that they understand, that's relatable, that's not like rehearsed, you know?
Yeah, and it's hard, I so deeply believe that we need more women. In positions of leadership, and it is so hard because the misogyny is so deeply ingrained in us that we don't even recognize the ways that we do not allow women to express their full humanity in ways that we allow for men. And so, you know, and we saw it with, you know, every female politician that has ever run for higher office, the double standard that they are held to, the immediate discrediting that we do of them and their ability, especially when it comes to things like the economy, finance, like, you know, we don't give women that sort of benefit of the doubt. And so there are major hurdles to overcome, but they only get overcome when women decide to say, I am doing this, and even if I don't win, I have made another crack in that ceiling.
Yeah.
And there will be a woman who will finally break through it. And it will be due to every woman before her who has like had the audacity to say, you know, I am going to punch a hole or I am going to make a crack in that glass ceiling so that it becomes easier for someone else to break in the future.
I mean, I think that's why so many of your songs are so powerful. And I encourage all of our audience to come and see you perform live because it's amazing. Such a treat. So fun. I love coming out to see you. And like, it's just, it's so
It is.
cool.
It's fun for me too.
So
it's
cool.
like, it feels like, you know, it is so much, it is me.
Yeah.
But it's also like when I step on stage, I get to embody this larger version of myself that sometimes, you know, we don't always get to be in our everyday life, right? And that to me is the fun of doing rock music and you know, really getting to be a bit brazen and outlandish, to be bossy on stage, right? It's so freeing and it's so much fun. And I hope that, you know, the women and the men who come to see me perform get a dose of that too and experience this little shred of permission to be, you know, even more kind of free or brazen in their own lives.
I know I do. And Eli got an anatomy lesson from me wearing your T-shirt around with the ovaries.
It's amazing.
Describe it.
Oh my God.
Yeah, no, because he was like, "What's that, Mom?" I was like, "Oh,
that's a uterus." Yeah. Yes, I have a shirt that says it was a shirt supporting women's rights, and you know, the fall of Roe v. Wade has been a major topic, I should say, in a lot of my work, and the fight for bodily autonomy in general. But anyway, I have this T-shirt that says, "You're not the boss of this," and then there's this, you know, kind of artfully designed uterus below it, and I, you know, every time I wear that, and Nico has one too. So there's a shirt for men.
He wears it. I love it.
And instead of "You're not the boss of this," it says, "I'm not the boss of this." So and anytime we wear that shirt, people are always like, "That shirt is amazing," you know. So I've got to make more. I'm working on a fun little merch capsule that'll be quite bossy.
I think I'm going to wear that shirt next time Eli has a bunch of friends over and see if they notice.
Yeah, like, what is that?
Yeah,
exactly. It's a good opportunity to educate the next generation on female anatomy. And
I think so.
It's hilarious.
Where can our audience find your music and everything?
Yeah. The easiest place to find everything in my world that you could possibly want to find is to go to my website, which is iambossi.com. And Bossi is spelled Bossi. And so, if you go to iambossi.com, you'll find links to Spotify and Apple Music. You'll find links to my social media, Substack, where you can find the finishing school and all of those satire videos.
Those are so good. And I mean, Trump is just giving you so much material.
So much. I know. I literally, like, I do one a week because I literally, they take so much time.
Yeah. I believe that.
To, you know, write, to film, to edit, you know, I do everything myself. And then on Substack, where the deeper lesson lives, there's also an essay about why it's important. And how, you know, this topic connects to, you know, misogyny at large, or why it's important we push back on this. And so I do one a week, but I swear every week I'm like trying to decide
which topic will we
cover.
What to cover. But I mean, you know, that's, I think, such a great example for people, for young women especially, like, that are trying to put out what they're creating, you know, like, I've seen you go through the process of creating that, and you really, like, kept at it. And I remember you telling me, like, I hate social media. Like, I remember you telling me that. Like, I hate doing these posts, like, you know, because it's tough when you're first doing it, right? I mean, and I kind of just fell into this because all these people started following me when Molly was in the hospital.
Yeah.
And so it's really... Yeah,
it's
like
interesting.
The
finishing school helped me learn to really appreciate social media, and because I actually really enjoyed doing those. You know, I felt like the part about social media that I didn't like, and the part that I've always struggled with, with being an artist, is the relentless amount of self-promotion that is required to do it, right? And it's just like, you are just like, I'm not the kind of person, I mean, obviously you have to have some level of, look at me to stand on stage, but like, I'm really not the kind of person that's like constantly wants to be waving the flag, like, look at me over here. I'm very happy to sometimes blend in. And so it's hard to like, to constantly just be thinking about what else can I say to get people to listen to the song, or how else do I like tell people what this is about or why this is important. Yeah. And so when the album was coming out and there was just all of this cultural stuff going on that is in the album, it's all being talked about, in the record. And the album's called Tell All the Other Girls, so it's very feminist. Yeah. And I was just thinking about, how to continue talking about all of these things that are going on and be able to, talk about some of the themes from the record, but in relation to current events and dig deeper into that, right, than what you can do in a 3.5 minute song. Yeah. And I just like, this idea came to me in a flash and I just didn't even think about it, kind of like what it sounds like you have these impulses sometimes too. And you're just like
when I started this podcast, I just turned it on literally on Substack. I was like, hey, you can do a podcast. Let me turn it on and start doing one.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, which is amazing. That was the finishing school for me. I was just like, I had this idea. And I just like quickly did a couple of videos and put them out. And it wasn't until I think it was my 10th or 11th video that went viral. And then, like, since then, a bunch of them have gone viral and people have found me. And then this finishing school has, like, expanded on Substack and become its own thing. And
it's awesome.
But, yeah, it was just, like, this creative impulse that started from the record and then took on a life of its own, which just, goes to show you, I think, creative impulses and just trusting those gut responses, whether it's start a podcast, start a finishing school, run for office. Who knows? Who knows where this leads? Yeah.
But I did say to John, I'm like, I'm sorry, but I am not going to be able to die and not have tried. Yeah. And so I constantly, like just have that in view. Totally. And I do, like, I kind of function like, Molly loved Hamilton so much, you know that. And I always sort of, that soundtrack is still always in my head because we played it all the time. And I always think of that song like, it's like you write like you're running out of time, because Alexander Hamilton was this prolific writer and just constantly writing. It's like you write like you're running out of time. And I feel like I'm living that way. It's like I'm just like, I might be running out of time. Like, I don't know. We all might be running out of time. And so I just don't take it for granted. And so I'm just like, well, like, I got to do this. I got to try this. Like, because it could just be, who knows?
Yeah, totally. I mean, I think that's, like, also the gift that comes out of, what you call the obliterated place, because it's like those moments, those times that kind of reduce you to rubble in a way. It also kind of allows all of this space for this new thing to grow through the cracks. Yeah. And then there's also this realization of the urgency. Like, that to me is also the gift of like facing your mortality in a real way, because we all know that at some point we're going to die, but most of us go through life like, you don't really think about it. You push it in the back of your mind, until you see, like, either you go through an illness, you see someone lose a loved one, you just see the obliterated place happen before your eyes. Yeah. And then the miraculous thing, though, is like sometimes what grows out of that, and how these amazing things find their way through the cracks and sprout like this beautiful, amazing flower that never could have grown before, right? And it's like, I hate the phrase that, like, everything happens for a reason, or like, I hate that crap, because I'm like, I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. Like, losing Molly in this world, there's no good reason for that. Yeah. But we can still look for the flowers that have grown through those cracks, and we can appreciate them, even though we wish maybe things had happened differently. Yeah. And so, I think just I've really admired all the beautiful flowers that are growing out of, all of the parts of your life that felt like it was just reduced to rubble, you know?
Yeah. It's kind of, I've had an unusual life for sure, and I'm hopeful, praying that maybe it could be calm, smooth waters for some time here on out. But I mean, not counting on it. But I do feel like, a lot of really incredible things have come from it all. And like, even I haven't talked to you, but like just a couple weeks ago, Molly helped to save someone's life, like 5.5 years after she's passed. And it's like, I shared someone's post that her husband really was desperate for a kidney, and someone who followed me, long story short, gave her kidney to this man. And they both just got out of the hospital. And that only happened because of Molly. Yeah. And her inspiration was Molly. So it's like, wow.
That is incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now I'm like, shoot, everybody send me if anyone needs an organ. Yeah. Like now I want,
you're like the
now I want to do more of this.
Yeah.
If anybody is in need, I will share it and I will help you find a match.
That's incredible. But that is exactly it, right? Like the fact that you have been putting yourself out there in the world in this kind of beautiful, vulnerable, tragic, strong, hopeful, all of the things, right, way. And people have been watching it in real time. And I think what it's attracted to you are people who have that same generous sense of spirit, who have this like caring for humanity, who were deeply moved by Molly's life and by her passing, And so many of those people have convened in this space that you've created, and these magical things are happening because of it.
Even John, who, as you know, is much more private than me and has not always enjoyed all of my openness.
Yes, I have the same thing with my other half. Yeah.
He was like, oh my God. Like, he was like, I got to go to work because I had to pay the bills because you are doing the important work. You're out here saving lives. I'm like, not me, but he has not liked, always me being so open. Yeah. But he's like, wow, okay. That was really awesome. So
that's so beautiful that he
Molly's
recognizes
always showing
it.
us she's with us for sure. So yeah.
That's
and
amazing.
we have to share the song that you wrote for Molly too.
Well, I didn't. I should clarify. I didn't write the song, but it felt
you
so.
Performed for Molly.
I performed it and changed a few of the lyrics just because, to make it most appropriate. But it felt like it's a song by Grace Potter and the Nocturnals, it just was the most. It's such a beautiful song. It felt so right for the moment, and so
we'll put it in the show notes so people can see that. It was really special.
It was, I think in those moments we're always at a loss of what to do, what we can say, or what do we give. And, but, I think in that moment it felt like, I don't know what to say or what to
you sing.
give.
You come out of surgery singing, so
I will,
that's what your soul does.
But I can give a song. Yeah,
it's amazing.
I can
it's
do
incredible.
That. Yeah.
It's incredible. Well, I am so grateful for you. And one thing I love about this podcast is I can have all my favorite people come here and I can tell you how much I love you and I appreciate you. And now we can go to dinner and I can tell you all the other things.
I can't wait.
I'm not done talking to you. We'll have to have a sequel to this because we still have so much more, I think, to share.
Yeah, for sure.
But until then, our audience, thank you so much. Bossi, I love you. And we're going to share all your information so people know where to find you and enjoy all of your music and videos and amazing things that you do and all the beautiful energy and positivity and strength and just badass energy that you put into the world. That's so needed. And I'm so happy more and more people are finding it and that more will find it as a result of this conversation.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you, audience.
For having me.
Thank you. Until next time, I'm your host, Kaye Steinsapir.